What's up, beautiful people? This is Antoine, homie, whatever you want to call me. Back with another hip-hop CD collection update. Now, it's been almost a year since the last one, and as you can see, I don't really have a whole lot going on right here. I just haven't really been too much into collecting, and really there's been a few albums that I've been looking for and I cannot find, and it just kind of bums me out, so I'm just not really buying CDs as much as I should, but I'm going to try to go in chronological order. I don't exactly remember which order I bought them all in, but I'm going to start from the beginning. So these ones are actually kind of old now. Well, we will start here. Let me actually flip these around real quick for ease of access. Okay, so first one, I think I'm fighting the glare here. Wale, the album about nothing. So far I've got every Wale album as far as his major albums and everything, and I really liked the mixtape about nothing. If you don't know what this is, it's basically themed around the show Seinfeld, and so this album actually has Seinfeld featured on it, where he's on, like, he just kind of talks and tells jokes and everything like that. There's a couple skits on like the beginning or ends of songs, and then there's also a few audio clips from the show Seinfeld as well, just from some of the episodes. So this, I'm not gonna be able to get that without reflecting. Oh, look at that camera. This album was really good. Actually, this is currently what's in my car stereo right now, even though it's, you know, over a year old, I'm sure. Let's see, 2015 is when it came out. But I've had this for a long time. This has a lot of really good songs. Okay, here's the one thing I'm confused about though, is that I have this album, right, which you can see is explicit, and it cusses. Like, there's a song on here called The Middle Finger, where the whole hook is just like he's cussing, like, fuck you, leave me alone. Okay, so this album is explicit, however, it's still edited. Like, I went on Spotify and I was listening to this album, and stuff that's like not even cuss words. I mean, there are cuss words that are edited on this album, but things that aren't cuss words are like replaced. Like the word hitters. He says something like, I forget exactly what the line was, but he used the word people in this album, but in the other version, he used the word hitters. So I don't know what that's about. But then there's also a few other random cuss words that are just edited, but I don't know, it's whatever. The Glass Egg, that one is like one of my favorites on this album now. Anyways, I gotta keep it moving because this video is gonna be like 10 minutes long probably. Alright, so next up is Lupe Fiasco, Tetsuo in Youth. This was a very interesting album. This is like just straight lyrical, like Lupe doing his creative thing. It's really, there's not a whole lot of like catchy songs on this. There's like maybe one or two that you can kind of get into that rhythm, but really this is just like listening to Lupe do his thing, because it's kind of like there's a lot of hidden meanings in the songs. There's a lot of like depth. It's a very dense album. You kind of have to go on Rap Genius to figure out a lot of it, but very good. The ones, what was it? The very first track, Summer, that one is probably my favorite. But there's also Prisoner, I like that one, and then Deliver was another really good one. But the whole album is pretty good, but you really have to be in the right mood for it. So next up is Yelawolf, Love Story. I liked this one a little bit better than his last one, Radioactive, but still not as much as Trunk Music. So you can kind of see the evolution in his music a bit with this more. It's not as much rapping as some of his previous pieces of work. There are some more songs that are slower. Not like he sings a little bit, but just kind of they're a different feeling. And also just kind of the effects on this album as well. Like Outer Space had a lot of kind of trippy, spacey effects on it. There was another one. I don't remember what the other one was, but like American You, that one is one of my favorites. Devil in My Veins, This is pretty good. Not one of my favorites, but still worth a listen at least. Next up, Kendrick Lamar. It's a Pimp a Butterfly, so I'm sure you've all already heard this, and that's how old, this shit is. That it's been so long since I made a video. This album is old already. This album's played out. But anyways, here it is. King Kunta, as you can see, very large. Black of the Berry. I won't talk too much about this because I'm sure you've already heard it. Very good album musically. It's quite different. It seems like a very I don't know, the album just seems like a very black, like a pro-black album, which is fine, but I actually kind of liked the first album better than that one. Next up is Tech 9, Special Effects. Hold on, I do have to say about this one though. The one thing is that one song, How Much a Dollar Cost. That shit was crazy. Like the first time I heard that, fuck. All right. Anyways, so Tech 9, Special Effects. This album, I've listened to this a few times all the way through, but for whatever reason, I'm having a hard time getting into this one. There are a few songs that stick out to me that are just really, really good. Black Hermosa, Roadkill, but there were a few letdowns on this also. Like Hopsin was on this album, Eminem was on this album, and Tech 9 did his thing. Like, but I feel like they didn't really deliver as much as I had hoped that they would. The one thing that disappointed me too was that Eminem song also had Chris Calico on it, but they called it Worldwide Shoppers 3, even though all three of them are from the Midwest, and it felt like they could have just called that the Midwest Choppers, whatever. I think Chris Calico. Actually, I don't know where Chris Calico's from. Anyways. So this is what we're actually currently listening to right now. This is in the background. This is Joey Badass, Before the Money. This album is one of my favorite albums I've heard in a long time. This is just a very reminiscent of 90s hip hop with that slight that new school type of feel to it. But the beats, the rhymes, like the way that he rhymes and everything, it feels very like old school East Coast, and I love it. Actually, the very next song that's gonna come on, Jesus View, that's probably my favorite song on this album. But it's kind of funny, he actually has on another one of his songs, he says, they don't feel the name, but they say their music dope though. And that's honestly exactly how I feel. I don't like his name, Joey Badass. Like, I hate recommending him to people because I hate saying, oh, Joey Badass, he's dope. Because it just feels like a childish type of name, It just seems really like, I don't know. I'm not sure why he chose to use that name because his music doesn't really reflect that. But that's whatever. Okay, I think these next two... maybe not. Okay, I think I got this one first. So, Southpaw. This is the soundtrack to the movie Southpaw, which was produced by Eminem, Shady Records. There's only 2 songs on here that aren't from artists on Shady Records, which would be Wicked Games by The Weeknd, and then Notorious Thugs with Bone Thugs and Biggie. And then everything else is, I think it's all new music. So there's, Eminem obviously is on a lot. There's Prime with Logic on there. Slaughterhouse, Bad Meets Evil. And even Joey Badass is on this with Action Bronson. This is a pretty good album. I don't care too much for the new Eminem style. So, songs like Kings Never Die and Phenomenal weren't really my favorite. But I did like the songs with, Bad Meets Evil. And Slaughterhouse, like Raw, like that, what was that one? All I Think About? Oh yeah. Raw, RNS, and All I Think About. The song with Logic, that one was dope. They actually, Prime and Logic made like a part 2 to that, which is on Prime's deluxe album. And it's like 7 minutes long or something. They both spit like 3 or 4 verses. It's crazy. And that's the album actually I've been looking for a long time, is the Prime album, and I cannot find the deluxe anywhere. I did find the regular version at I think Amoeba Records in Berkeley, but that's it, man. That's a hard album to find. Any hoozle. No, it wasn't. It wasn't even at Amoeba. Amoeba didn't have it. That's right. It was like a local record store called Cheap Thrills in St. Louis. That's where I found it. But they only had the regular version, not the deluxe. Anyways, Vince Staples, Summertime. As you can see, this is not opened. And the reason why is because I listened to this on Spotify. So I didn't really feel the need to immediately copy it onto my iTunes and put it on my phone and all that split. I can just listen to it on Spotify. It's not a big deal. I hadn't even heard this album when I bought it. It's just that his last album I thought was so good that I figured I'd give this one a chance. Or I don't even know if it was maybe after this album. I don't remember, but yeah, Summertime 06. I can't even tell you any songs on here that stick out because I don't really remember them, and the track list isn't on this, on the back. And I don't feel like pulling up Spotify to look at that, but Vince Staples is dope. I forget what the other album was called. I think it was called Hell Can Wait, but that one had that song 6500. That song was dope. But Vince Staples, he's always been good. I like him on features too. He's been on like Common's album, Earl Sweatshirt. Alright. Another unopened album, Hopsin. This was his first album, which was on Ruthless Records, Gazing at the Moonlight. This had one of my favorite songs that from a while back was I'm Here. I like that song. Like actually the intro is really funny. The intro is really funny, and then it kind of just transitions into I'm Here. And the music video is pretty funny too. He's kind of making fun of a lot of mainstream rappers and whatnot. So now, I mean, just as of I think a couple weeks ago or something, Funk Volume is like done. Hopsin went solo. I think Jaron Benton went to No Limit Records or something like that. Master P's out record label. Swizz and Dizzy, I believe, are still managed by Dame, but if you're curious about where Hopsin kind of started from, this is it, and then Raw is after this one. That's kind of where he started picking up a lot more fans from Sag My Pants. And then all the Ill Mind ones, of course. So I mentioned Earl Sweatshirt earlier, and here's another Earl Sweatshirt album. I Don't Like Shit, I Don't Go Outside. That's kind of creepy. I didn't even know this album came out until I saw it on some like random, it wasn't Complex, but it was some other like music magazine website where they were listing, what was it, like 30 great albums under 30 minutes or something like that, and this one was on there. And they even mentioned his first album, Earl, which is my favorite piece of work that he's done. And so I figured, I don't know what that is. I figured I would check this one out. And it's a pretty dark album. He does talk about a lot of personal shit. Musically, I didn't like it that much, to be honest. It's lyrically, it's good. Musically, not so much. It would be how I would describe it. I've never actually been a big fan of any of the Odd Future members musically. I think the beats are pretty simple and they're kind of annoyingly repetitive. But it's worth listening to. I believe it's on Spotify also, if I'm not mistaken. So you can check that one out. And last but not least is Logic, The Incredible True Story, aka Tits. This album, this one and the Joey Badass album definitely got the most play out of all his albums I just bought. This again is not open because I listened to it so much on Spotify and I downloaded it on Spotify because I have premium, so I just haven't opened this thing yet. I do because I still need to, because like I can't listen to this on my iTunes. But this album is really, really good. I think my favorites on this one was Fade Away and Intermission. But I can listen to this album straight through on repeat all day long and I have many times at work. The Joey Badass album, there's a few, the Prime album. A lot of times when I'm at work, those are like my go-to things because I just put them on and just forget about it, you know, and just kind of, you know, work all day and listen to those, and it doesn't really get old to me. It hasn't gotten old yet. It's been many months that I've been listening to this on repeat, and it's not old yet, so that's a good sign. I will say though, it didn't quite, like, I didn't quite understand it, as far as the weird skits, the whole, like, journey of what the album was supposed to be like. I wasn't sure if it was supposed to feel like cinematic, but I don't know, I just didn't get how the skits matched the songs. That was the one thing I would say, is that part didn't make sense to me. But still a very good album. I do like it. So, quick recap. Let me put all these back under here again. How many is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So, it's been about 11 months actually since the last video. So 1 a month. It's not a whole lot, but that's what I got. Prime is next for sure. I need to find that album. Another one I've been looking for is the Hopsin album, not Knock Madness. Fuck, how did I forget what that Pound Syndrome. That one, yeah, that's another one that I can put on Spotify, just throw it on repeat all day long and just chill out to. Which, since I've mentioned Spotify many times, I will drop a link in the description if you want to friend me on there, or whatever they call it, follow, or whatever the fuck. Hit me up, and then, you know, we could change music or whatever, you know, send me a playlist if you think there's some good artists I should listen to. That's how I find a lot of artists nowadays, is through Spotify. You know, I have Nick Jenkins and that one dude, Boss or something, I forget what his name is, but a lot of good artists on there. So yeah, I'll drop my link in there. Send me some music, check out some music I got, whatever. Probably won't be a while before I do another video, so for 2016 this might be it, you know, but if I end up splurging and I get a bunch, I'll shoot another video or something. Anyway, recommendations, drop them in the comments, follow, subscribe, whatever the fuck, all that stuff, and I will see y'all on the next video. Peace.